the first time on a BFC demo. So I've written a speech in honour of that. First of all, it's wonderful to see everybody here giving up their Saturday afternoon and being here for what is such an important cause. On Thursday this week, we held a reception in the Commons for medical aid for Palestinians, and which I'm sure many of you, if not members of, are supporters of, and will know one of the founders of that, Steve Cheyenne, who 30 years ago was in the Gaza hospital, which was serving the Sabra and Shatila refugee camps at the time of the massacre by the phalanges, supported, encouraged and helped by the Israeli army. And she made she's an incredibly powerful speaker whom I've never heard her, and she made a speech and illustrated it, and talked about the shelling of hospitals, and talked about the massacre of civilians, and talked about the use of heavy weapons of war against the civilian population. And as I listened to her, it reminded me absolutely of my own experience in January 2009, only 3 years ago, when I went to Gaza 2 weeks after the end of Operation Cast Legs. And so with 30 years apart, exactly the same tactics being used by exactly the same armed forces against the Palestinian people throughout the Middle East, not only in the occupied territory. And of course, it's not just those two events, it's also the invasion of Lebanon in 2003. It's also the occupation of what are now the occupied territories in 1967, and of course, above all, the event which we are commemorating today, which is the Nakba in 1948, and the displacement, the ethnic cleansing by a state of half of the indigenous population, something which is almost without precedent. I don't want to say that Israel and the Israeli Defence Forces are alone in the crimes against humanity and breaching of the Geneva Convention. Of course they're not. We're seeing it happening across the world, even today. We're seeing it happening in the Middle East, in countries like Syria today. But two things stick out, I think, about what happens in Palestine, the occupied territory. The first, this is an occupation. It's an occupation that has gone on longer than any other in the world today. It's not simply the destruction of people within the country. It's not simply civil war. It is occupation. It is illegal. And secondly, it has the active or the tacit support of large parts of the democratic world. And I don't know another conflict of which that is true. And that's why this occupation has a special significance for all of us here. Things stay the same, but things also change, and things, I'm afraid, can often change for the worse. We have in Israel now a far-right government that has an unprecedented level of support amongst the Israeli people. We have a very weak opposition, a very weak left in Israel, and we have a US election year, which always means that any control of the Israelis is muted by the need of whoever is seeking election to win the pro-Israeli vote in the US. And at the same time, we have some very good signs of hope. We have the Arab Spring and the growth of democracy. And with every democratic regime, every democratic party we see across the Arab world, we see an end of the Toby and the covert or active support for Western policy in the Middle East, and we see genuine support for the Palestinian people. But I believe we also see an increase in popular support across the world because of some of the atrocities that are being committed, because of the work that people like you here today do in telling the truth about what is happening in Palestine. And the reaction to that from Israel is to become more aggressive militarily, to become more repressive, to imprison more people in worse and worse conditions, which is what has led to the hunger strike, and to be more aggressive on a propaganda level, which is why organisations like PSC are now demonised by the Israelis and their supporters in this country. So there's never been a time when standing up for the Palestinian people has been more important. And I know that that's what everybody here does every day of their lives in everything that they do. And that's important. What's also important, I believe, is that we speak clearly and we speak truthfully. Because when people understand the facts, when they understand that in Operation Cast Lead, 13 Israelis were killed, 4 by friendly fire, and over 1,400 Palestinians, many of them women and children, the overwhelming majority of them civilians, were killed. The disproportionality of what happens every day in the Middle East, which is disguised in much of the Western media, has to be challenged. But finally, let me say this. We're here today outside Downing Street for one very good reason. We're here to commemorate the Nakba, but we're here to say to the British government that they have to do more. That they have to do more in terms of the recognition of the Palestinian state. That they have to do more to put economic pressure on Israel, whether that be by sanctions, whether that might be in relation to goods from the occupied territory. And we're here to say to our government that they need to do more than just words to support the Palestinian people. In aid and in comfort and in international fora, they need to do all that. Exactly. I am Vice Chair of Labour Friends of Palestine in the Middle East, so I'm very proud to be, and I'm speaking here today, I hope not just on my own behalf, but on behalf of the more than 80 MPs, Labour MPs, who have signed up to that. That's over a third of the Labour MPs in Parliament who are members and supporters of Labour Friends of Palestine for the Middle East. I wish I could say the same of the other political parties, even though there are friends of the Palestinians in other political parties. And all I can say is that from next Tuesday, when we have the Foreign Affairs debate on the Queen's Speech, and in every other opportunity within the House of Commons and the House of Lords, we will do everything we can to pressurise the government, to keep that pressure up, to ensure that the Palestinian voice is heard, to ensure that justice is obtained for Palestinians with the support of the British people and the British government. But I know that that's what you are doing, as I say, every single day and every single month and year that you have been standing here, standing other places around London in support. And thank you finally for what you do. You inspire myself, my colleagues, more, we can all do more, but to be here today, to be in the seat of power in the United Kingdom, it is essential that we bring that message home. So well done for everything that you've done, and let's keep up the fight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Apologies for the sound.